Hey, what's up? Justin here and welcome to 65 Drums. Today's video is all about my setup that I use to make YouTube videos. I want to mention that I'm not trying to be some sort of YouTube guru in this video. If you really want to learn from a legit source on how to make great videos and everything, go check out the channels Video Creators and Nick Nimmin. So let's talk about cameras first. What I'm using right now is a Canon 80D. That's what you're looking at right now. And then the second camera that I use, more of a backup camera because I kind of sort of broke it, is the Canon SL2. I did not start off with any sort of legit camera though. My first so-called camera was an iPod Touch Generation 5. And then my next camera was just an iPhone 7, I believe. But after that, I bought my first legit camera, and that's this one right here. So this is a Canon SL2. The reason why I like it so much is that it's got the flip out screen. That's pretty important for YouTubers because you need to see that your head is actually in frame if you want to do any sort of like talking head bits. The reason why I don't use this as often anymore is because I actually broke off a cable inside of that mic input, and I have to record into an audio interface. That's what I was using this Focusrite interface for most of the time. I upgraded and bought a Canon 80D. The great thing about both these cameras though, is that they use the same lenses. Any of these lenses can be used on both of these camera bodies. So really quickly, the kind of lenses that I have right here is a 55 to 250, this is an 18 to 55, and this is a 50 millimeter. And then on this camera right here is a 10 to 18 wide angle lens. This is great for zooming in on something very far away. I use this to photograph actors and actresses at my theater, but I can't really use it for YouTube because it just doesn't work in this small of a basement. Yes, this basement is actually small, which is why I use this wide angle lens that I have on the camera quite a bit. So for example, if you want to get close to a drum set but also see the entire thing at the same time, you can kind of like zoom out. So this is 10 millimeters right here, and I'm pretty darn close to this drum set, but you can see the entire thing. When I go into 18, this looks a little bit more natural because the image isn't stretching out on the sides, but you can't see quite as much of it. So you just sort of like mix and match different lenses for whatever it is you want to do. I've used just one lens for most of the history of my channel. 18 to 55 is very, very versatile. For the talking head bits, I think I'm mostly at like 30 millimeters or something like that. Now let's talk about recording equipment. So this is a Tascam DR70D. It has a lot of inputs on it. It's very versatile, and it's complicated as heck to use. This is my latest piece of equipment. This is a Zoom H4n Pro recorder. Has only two inputs on the back, but it's way simpler to use, and I actually love this darn thing. So jumping ahead to microphones, this is pretty darn important if you want to start up a YouTube channel. People will put up with really bad video, but they won't put up with terrible audio. What I use is a Rode VideoMic Pro. Why did I buy it? Because everyone and their grandmother told me to buy it. The great thing about it is that it has a battery in it. So you don't have to rely on their very noisy preamps inside of Canon cameras, basically boost up the volume so that your Canon camera doesn't mess up the audio afterwards. And I mount it on just a regular mic stand. For a lot of mic stands, you'll have to buy this little adapter. This is a Manfrotto tripod that I bought from Best Buy for like 80 bucks. It was a great buy, a best buy, because it can break down and be small enough to fit in your backpack. That's very useful for me when I want to take my backpack with my camera on planes. You need something that will fit in that small of a space. Over here, I'm not really happy with these camera tripods. They're $25 each. They're from Walmart, and their only job in life is to hold up this camera slider. So this is from GVM, bought it off of Amazon for like 150 bucks. That was because it was on sale. Now it's like 300 bucks, so I bought it at just the right time. It has a motor on it. Not all camera sliders have motors, so make sure you know what you're buying before you buy one. You can set A and B points. So if you want it to go from here to there, you can do that. You can choose how fast it goes back and forth. And that means you can do drum covers with moving video where you're not even needing a second camera guy. Very, very useful for solo creators. It's also perfect for product shots. So for example, when I reviewed this Tama Techstar pad, I wanted to get some cool like moving shots going side to side and make it look as cool as possible. So a word of warning about these camera sliders. Most of the time they're very heavy, like 22 pounds or something if they have a motor. So you need two camera tripods that can handle it, that are beefy enough to not tip over if you accidentally bump into it. I want to buy one really beefy camera tripod and mount it straight here in the middle. There's actually a thread right underneath where that moving head is, and that way it would take up less space in the basement. One final thing to mention is that this ball mount did not come with the camera slider. This whole thing is very limited if you don't have a ball mount to really position the camera in 3D space. So I would buy one of these. It's only like 15 bucks or 20 bucks. it's really worth the investment if you buy a camera slider. Otherwise, you're gonna have to tilt the entire camera slider up and down and stuff. This just makes life a whole lot simpler. So when I'm filming videos, this is the angle that I see everything from. And that's the laptop that I'm usually looking at for notes when I'm trying to film the videos. Now the laptop, the reason why I bought this one specifically is that it's pretty powerful. I need to edit most of my stuff on the go because the internet down here sucks. So this is an Asus ROG gaming laptop, 17-inch screen so I can see what the heck I'm editing. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's got an NVIDIA 1050 Ti graphics card inside. It's got a 2 terabyte SSD. That's an upgrade. I bought that separately. And it works well for me. Okay, so that was the gear end of things. But how do I actually use that to make videos, and how do I talk to brands and stuff like that? So when you get a product, at least this is the way I do it, I just incorporate it into my drum set. I just pretend it's part of the kit, whether or not I get to keep it or not, and I just use it day in and day out. And I try to just play it for 2 weeks if possible. A lot of times companies will give you something for 28 days, so you gotta spend 2 weeks playing it, and then the last week just, reviewing it. And then you gotta ship it back to the company. One thing that I've gotta be careful with when I'm making these product reviews is that I gotta spend a lot of time in the drum module and push the product to its full extent. So you gotta give the product every chance you possibly can in the drum module before you go around saying that it's good or that it's bad. So you gotta cover all your bases and make sure you know what you're actually talking about when you're trying to review something. So let's say you've already played the product for 2 weeks. What's the next step? Well, in this case, I've actually already played the cymbal for 2 weeks and I really am ready to make a review. What I'm gonna do next is take a lot of photos and videos of this cymbal from every conceivable angle, by itself and then also with the kit so you can see it in context. The reason why you're taking all these photos and taking video of it going side to side on a camera slider is you want to use this B-roll on top of your talking head footage. People don't want to see your face for 10 minutes while you're talking about something else they can't see on screen. So when you say that you like this part of the cymbal, you'll actually show that part of the cymbal. When you say you don't like this part of the cymbal, you'll show that part of the cymbal. Really simple stuff. And of course, back to the question, do I get to keep the products that I review? The answer is, it depends on the company. Some companies such as GoEdrum, Joe Becky, Drum Tech, R Drums, they say, Justin, just keep the product. Yamaha, Alesis, and Roland, I believe all three of those companies want you to send the product back after you've reviewed it. So it just depends on the company. Okay, so let's jump ahead to talking about the laptop and the programs I use to put all these individual pieces together. I use 2 main programs. The first is Adobe Premiere Pro, that's the video editor. And the second is Photoshop. Photoshop is how I make all the thumbnails. If you've only got like 100 subscribers, you might want to hold off spending $30 a month to get both of these programs and maybe just stick with like iMovie and PicMonkey. There's some free stuff out there, but if you really want all the tools, Adobe does have a ton of great programs. So the first thing I do when I'm editing a video is I open up this. So this is a video called 65 Drums Template. All this video has in it is my intro, my little intro video, and then I have a transition light. So that's an effect that I bought in a package for 30 bucks. And then I have an adjustment layer. The adjustment layer, only thing that has on it is my color grading layer. So it's just like, upping the contrast and upping the saturation a little bit, stuff like that. So what I do from here is I save as in the file section, and then I just name it the name of the video. After that, I can just drop in all my different video elements. Having a little template thing like this does save you some time because you don't have to go in and do all the different audio effects. You don't have to drag in your intro and do all this stuff. The way I edit videos is I actually just listen to them at double speed. You just tap the L button once, and then I just find the big gaps as I'm going along, and then I cut them out. Jumping over to Photoshop, it's a very similar story. This is the template that I start with, and then I save as whatever the video is called. So I have my logo over here in the corner, I have the border, and then I have like this blue background effect thing. I actually downloaded a ton of just free brushes. So I have all kinds of like cracks and smoke and different stuff, and it's free. You don't have to spend freaking $500 to get all kinds of cool brush effects. The first thing that I do is I drag in a photo, such as this right here. I actually have a bunch of color grading on this. I just start layering stuff. So I color grade it a little bit, I'll make another layer and then cut some of it out so I can color stuff a little bit more saturated. I'll just have another layer that gives me more texture to the look. So this is a high pass filter. Sometimes when it looks like I have a lot of the layer different colors like blue and white, that's because I have a gradient. You can choose whatever you want, such as this dark blue to white over here. And then you can set that overlay to something like, soft light. Actually, probably hard light is a little bit better. The next thing you'll do is just get a brush, click on the mask, and then you can cut yourself out and just make whatever you want focus on not have that gradient on it. You just want your thumbnails to stand out. You don't want to look exactly like everybody else. So jumping ahead to the actual data and SEO of everything, this is what it looks like when you upload a file on YouTube right now. You'll want to throw in some tags, and as you can see, I'm already actually ranking for some of these tags. I have a free browser extension called TubeBuddy. Whenever you put in tags, it will tell you what you're ranking if you actually search into YouTube. So I'm ranking in 6th place for GoeDrum and 2nd place for electronic drums at the moment. That's what it says, at least. You write some sort of description. This stuff apparently used to be more important than it is now. It used to be really important to like keyword stuff your videos and everything, but now YouTube is getting smarter and smarter. They know what a good video is and what a bad video is. So it's more like people will decide whether or not your video succeeds or fails. And I think that's the way it really should be. So YouTube has a little feature up here called end screens. That's how you can link to other videos at the end of your video. The first one that I always have is best for viewers. So YouTube decides which one to suggest for this one. And the next one is most recent uploads. So every video, all 430 of them, are recommending the newest video, and that's how you drive traffic to newer stuff. If you haven't already checked out part 1 of this series, the drum set tour, I'll link it in the end card at the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all in a few.